Hey, little dude, she greeted as I matched her pace. Excited for your second mission? You know it, I smiled back. Her side looked no different from normal, meaning either the Kevlar protected her enough, or it had fully healed in the time being. You know what we're doing? Maybe. I heard it's something to do with the latest Advent Network news report. It was a report about how a heroic peacekeeper defended 2 civilians from harm as their home was assaulted by insurgents. They said that the insurgents killed 5 peacekeepers, who laid down their lives to protect the civilians of Alpha 135. Bunch of bull. Chances are that there were no saves, and second, there's something in that building. The resistance cell contacted us to let us know that they found a transmitter of some sort in there, but couldn't take it out. Shannon and Tigan monitored the Advent network and noticed that the transmitter is a major relay in their network, so were to hit it. The other 2 joining us today are a ranger and a specialist, so an all-round squad here, she informed me, pushing through the door to the armory and loading herself up as I did the same. I could feel myself be quicker this time, beating Brick to the briefing room. Good, you're all here. Alright, the target is a transmission station based in A135. We've not got much intel on this op, so be careful. You do have a time limit to destroy the transmission data, so get in, destroy it, and neutralise any aliens in the area. Understood? Alright. Get on board, drop zone ETA 5 minutes, and you'll have 10 minutes to get there, and take out that transmitter. Good luck. Yes, sir, we called out in unison as we boarded. The Sky Ranger quickly set off, so we're in transit. Brick again occupied the time chatting with Alphabet, our specialist, and the Ranger Goblin about their previous mission. Turns out they'd almost been on as many as Brick, but not quite had the same success as her, so weren't up to her rank. I felt slightly warm as Brick continued to fill the silence with her chatter. It was definitely much better than the alternative. Drop zone in 20 seconds, get yourself ready, the pilot from the cockpit called out. I double-checked my Kevlar vest and sniper rifle before standing up ready to jump out. As the door opened, Brick and Goblin both went first, grabbing onto the ropes without any problem. I told myself this time that I was just going to run for it and not stop. I jumped out with Advent, grasping one of the ropes as I slid down, meeting the others down at the bottom. We had landed at the edge of the city, having been told that our target was north from our position, but I couldn't see any civilians anywhere. Usually there were a couple in the more populated areas. Alright, squad, it doesn't seem like we've attracted any attention. We're hidden for now. Stick to the shadows upon approach and get moving. 9 minutes left. We heard central over the comms as we pushed forwards. The Ranger and Brick at the front, while I took up the rear with Alphabet, hand on my pistol as we moved quickly. Guard patrol, left side, Brick called out to us quietly, holding up her hand to her side to get us to crouch off to the sides of the street and stop, as we watched them. And kept watching them. They weren't moving, but neither were we, and we definitely had a time limit. The captain, dressed in a bright red suit, commanded 2 troopers either side of him. We could take them easily, but we'd alert the city too early. We weren't close enough to our target yet. Hold position, the command Central Bradford called over the comms, noticing my restlessness. I sighed, pulling my rifle closer to me. We were sitting ducks here, and most importantly, our time frame was getting shorter while we waited for a clear path. I understand it would be stupid to engage, but I couldn't help but be a bit impatient. It took another half a minute before they took off to the left, leaving a clear road ahead of us. Alright, move up. Target is ahead on the next street. Watch our backs when we come out of concealment, Central called over the radio again, his voice loud and in my ear. We darted across the street in a small group, taking in what lay ahead of us. I could just make out the form of a sectoid with 2 troopers either side of it. Behind them lay a building, to which the front had been blasted off. This was the place, alright. 0. See if you can get an elevated position on the building to your left, the voice in my head called, as I turned my attention to an unremarkable building to my left. More than likely someone's home. Or, previously, someone's home, anyway. I climbed up the gutter pipe to the side, careful to move slowly and quietly as I did so, reaching the roof. I made my way over to the top corner, thankful there was a bit of cover. I had an advantageous position looking down on the building from here. 2 more contacts spotted. Captain and sectoid class, I muttered as I pressed my hand to my ear. Right side. indicating their position relative to me. I looked down on the streets below as Brick and Goblin moved up, weapons drawn and at the ready. Alright, take the shot on the closest sectoid first. Everyone into Overwatch except Zero. The command came. I wasn't too far from my target, definitely close enough for them to shoot back at me though. I slowly drew in my breath, releasing it even slower as my scope zeroed in on the head of the sectoid. My finger rested on the trigger, half pushing it down, waiting for the perfect moment. The sectoid turned its head my way, and I didn't hesitate. My shot broke the relative silence. As the sectoid fell to the floor immediately, the two troopers broke to find cover, finding only the bullet storm provided courtesy of Brick, Goblin and Alphabet, as they too lay in a lifeless mess. Brick, push up, position in full cover. Goblin, right side, AIDS protocol. And an AIDS protocol on Goblin as well. The orders came out. As they moved up below me to my right, indeed, the second squad of aliens closed onto us from our right. Focus fire on the sectoids. Zero, Goblin, the command called. Without hesitation, I brought my scope up to the sectoids, who had found high cover, but was at a bit of an angle to me, so I could see him. My shot rang out as I found my target, but he didn't fall. Target still up, I called through the comms, as I saw Goblin's shot miss as well. 1 second, I'm on it, Brick called, whipping the grenade launcher from her back and firing it towards the sectoid. It barely had any time to react, its screaming hers barely over that of the explosion. I could see the captain pointing towards our ranger, shouting in its odd language, before firing upon him. Taking fire, he called, several shots missing him. I can only think due to the distortion field around him. He kept his head down as the commander orders returned fire from Brick. The shots found their mark, but the captain recovered, taking position back behind his cover. Goblin, pay him back. The ranger drew his sword, dashing after the captain, cutting into him before he could return fire. Hostiles spotted. High ground, left side, he called out as he dashed back into the cover of the remaining wall of the building. I'm being flanked from behind, Alphabet called, finding cover just as some shots flew past her. I could make out the figure of the previous patrol behind us, running down the street. I watched down my scope, getting a familiar glint in it, as the street light shone off the bright red armour of the captain. Firing my shot, the captain fell early, but the troopers still ran to find cover as I reloaded my weapon. More shots were fired at our position, this time finding Alphabet after destroying her cover. I'm hit! She cried out, weapon burns showing on the outside of her Kevlar armour, now tattered and destroyed. She ran towards Brick and Goblin to find more cover from the projectiles. What the fuck is that? Goblin called, as I too spotted it. A Viper emerged from the cover of the roof of the building ahead of us, with a trooper by her side. Viper, watch her tongue, I called out, scoping in on one of the troopers behind us. My shot found its mark, narrowly before I ducked my head to avoid a beam coming from behind me, thanking my lucky stars that it had missed. Watch her what? He called back. Obviously he'd never seen one of them fight before, or maybe not even seen one before. I have eyes on the target, he called, opening the door remaining on the wall in front of us, which was obscuring the bright purple globe, stood on a tall black stand. Quick, take the shot. That transmission is about to come through. Goblin took aim through the doorway, finding the globe as it exploded into a purple plasma burst, making enough noise for me to catch the Viper off guard for a second. I whipped out of my cover, quickly trying to take the shot at the snake. The bullet seemed to reflect off the side of the armour just underneath her chest, and I could see her hiss in my direction, her joy unhinging and showing me her wide, gaping mouth, before she moved behind cover. Shot failed to connect, I commented, slightly caught off guard myself by missing the shot. Brick launched her second grenade at the flanking soldier as Alphabet used the medkit she had equipped on herself. The burns to her skin immediately started to lose their blackened colour as the regenerative powers of the medkit took effect. Fuck, that stings, she groaned from behind cover. Goblin dashed towards the second trooper, blades unholstered, skewering the clone on its tip as he leaped at it. Ha! Gotcha! Huh! The comms erupted in my ear as I saw a tongue wrap around his neck, pulling him on top of the building. His blade remained firmly planted in his previous target, so he had no weapon in his hands. Moments later, I saw his gun fall from the roof and break upon hitting the floor. It certainly wasn't a low roof by any means. She's got me. I can't, I heard through the comms again. I looked onto the roof, barely seeing her body coil around her victim, as she was behind some sort of vent on the top of the building. I can't breathe. Please, don't kill me. He breathed out his remaining air as she strangled him. 0, do you have a shot? Negative, sir. No angle, I replied disheartedly. Nowhere on the rooftop I was on could get a decent angle on the Viper for me to take a shot. I've got one, sir, Alphabet called. I looked down to her position. She could definitely see more of the Viper, but I wasn't sure what to do. I could feel panic on setting as I watched the situation grow out of my control.